$1,000,000 career that I had already had and spent my whole life trying to get. And all I know is this, but I literally died with this knowledge. Now, in this particular picture, this guy is interested in reconstructing Egypt, Hemmitt, and he got the Pharaoh's black in it. But the temples, what you see when you see the engraving on the temple wall, the temple walls used to be painted white, and every single picture used to be in color. Now it's the temple of Luxor, or the temple of Wafet, and Cecil B. DeMille used this picture to do the backdrop for the Ten Commandments. He used this picture, but he didn't paint the building because that was too elaborate. But in this thing, this particular Edwin Long, an 18th century artist from England, reconstructed Hemmitt. And when you see the picture with your imagination, you should die. It should put you in another dimension. So now I went into that picture, and I've been into that picture ever since. Now, what happened was, this was the second phase of what was supposed to go on the screen. It's a reconstruction of ancient Hemmitt. And then what happened was, when he got back to England, in order to sell the picture, one guy said, I'll pay you so much money, and he had to put the damn Hebrews in there as a biblical screen. But if you look at that, you can clearly see that he had to paint them in, because behind them is the black pharaohs. But he painted in these damn brown-looking Hebrews, because it's called Israel and Egypt. That's how he had to sell the picture. But anyway, I saw this picture. Now this is the second phase to the actual drama. I know that I got to go back to Hemmitt because I know that's the last time that we saw a world that we built, even though it's physical, we saw a world that we built that's greater than anything the white man ever built. But that's the last time we had something that we built, and it could change the consciousness of black people overnight. So I go through these series of tests. They take me in this room. I lose weight. I gain these nice, firm bodies. I grow some dreads. Or the braids. They give me this damn skirt like the Egyptians, and I'm hooked up with the false beard and everything. Now, remind you, this is 1988 to 1990 when the story's complete. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to be transported back in time, and they send me this spaceship. This spaceship is called the Kemetic Lady Kepra. And it's in the form of a dung beetle of Kepra. It's a spaceship that's built in the form of Kepra. But it doesn't have the wings out. It looks like a scallop. It looks like a scallop. Right. It's called the Kemetic Lady Kepra, and it's this spaceship. So now I get on the doggone spaceship, and I'm supposed to be transported back to Hemmitt. I go through all these initiations. So, spaceship takes off. Everybody in the world now is watching this screen. You can't miss it. White people and black people. Black people, it's going to be a resurrection, and white people, it's going to be a judgment. Now the story gets real good. All right, brother. It amazes me when I tell it, because it ain't coming from me. It's coming from the God. Okay. That's why it brings tears to my eyes when I used to tell it, because it's not me. If it was what I made up, I could control it. Now, I go back to Hemmitt. When I get back to Hemmitt, I'm hoping to get off the ship and see something of what it used to look like. Okay? Because you know the pyramid was all in white limestone, and they used to shine with the star and all that. If you get the Earth, Wind, and Fire album cover all in all, that's what the pyramids used to look like. Before the Arabs took the pillar cases off and built Cairo with it. Right. Okay, and took the black granite of the capstone and put it in the museum there. But you know that capstone, that granite, like I told you, ain't found but one place in the world, Stone Mountain, Georgia. That's where the granite is found. The Rosicrucians, white Rosicrucians tell you that. They also say the white man was an experiment, and the spaceship was coming back to clean them up. Now, I go back and I step off the ship. Everybody watching, and what you can not only are they watching the screen, but when your ship takes off, the earth starts quaking. So they saying, damn, this shit is real, because I can actually feel it outside my house. And everybody watching this thing. So, I step off the ship. And when I get off the ship, I'm looking at the old, rundown, dilapidated pyramids. And I was like, damn, you didn't take me in no future. All you did was took me to damn Egypt. I could have got on doggone TWA and did this. You know what I'm saying? I I see some Arabs and some fucking camels, excuse me. I see some, you know, a whole bunch of desert. And then this colonnade comes up. For those of you who don't know what a colonnade is, if you go and you see this thing in Paris with the cars drive on them, you know what a colonnade is? They had those in Egypt for Hemmitt. Colonnades. This colonnade comes up. And it's got two mahogany doors. And they got a doggone chain on it. But around the colonnade is still, but around the colonnade is still old run-down Egypt. But I try to go around the colonnade because the doors are locked and this force field is holding me back. So I can't even get through there. All right. Just then, I'm walking around saying, dang, all of this, and I'm in Egypt, and the only thing that came up out of the ground is this colonnade, and I can't get through. And what am I getting through to? The same old run-down pyramids. And just then, I see this slave running from the slave master. A slave, and he got two white men behind, about like the Kunta Kinte scene. And while he's running, I see this old house run down in the desert with a black slave family sitting on the porch. Okay? He runs up, the slave runs up, runs to the door, pops the chain, pops the doggone chain, and goes right through the wood and disappears. I go up to the doggone colonnade and open it. And now when I open it, I hear all these people laughing and hollering and going crazy. And when I open it up and I step through, I look at the pyramids and they're white. The stars shining. And these Egyptians who had been waiting to see what I was going to get through is jumping all up and down, and they all up in the garb and the dress. And I see this miraculous place. I break down and start crying. They pick me up on the shoulder and start marching me into Hemmitt. I supposed to be going to see the Pharaoh. Because all I can see the temple of Luxor, this grand place that's beautiful. I look back behind the colonnade and I see the doggone slave, he's back that way now. And I see the black people on the porch. They clapping, this is slave. They clapping and they crying. I'm all up in the air, and these Egyptians who've been waiting for me to get to the other side is like, welcome home. You a slave coming back. Now mind you, the stories are not about me. The stories are drama going on, but all of you are seeing this around the damn world, and you can imagine what's going on. Because these big screens are everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody's seeing it. Even white people. Now, they're going to take me to the doggone Pharaoh. I go up to the temple of Luxor, and the Pharaoh is sitting outside, or he's seated outside. So I'm getting closer to the Pharaoh. You know, I stopped crying. I'm getting closer to the Pharaoh. And as I get closer and closer to the doggone Pharaoh, I get up on the Pharaoh. He's sitting outside with the crook and the frail. His wife there looking good as hell. You know what I'm saying? Fine as a Coca-Cola bottle. The temples and all amazing. But when I look at the Pharaoh, guess who the fuck he is? Randy Brown. Do you understand the moral of the story? When I look at the Pharaoh, guess who the Pharaoh is? Randy Brown. And he's sitting there laughing. Because he understands on another dimension that all of us used to be gods and goddesses. And he's looking back and he's sitting there laughing. And whereas I excel in this society and he was cast down, this nigga the Pharaoh. I'll break down crying again. See what I'm saying? Do you understand the moral of this story? All put together before I even got into this stuff. I used to be into the Doc Ben and Dr. Clark thing. Okay, one little piece to the story left. They say, now, we're going to take you to see God. I go through the mystery system. I go all the way back to Atlantis, because the priest got me now. When I get to see God, I'm so doggone overwhelmed. When I go to see God, I look and I see God and I see myself, and I'm saying, that's me. You see the riddle to the story? When I meet God, it's myself. Not like the Star Trek movie where some vanity shit, because they ain't God. You know that Star Trek movie where he said, I tried to meet God and I met my own vanity. When I meet God, it's myself. Now the moral to the story, we are all gods. Don't look for nothing that you can't spell back and look at yourself and accept as God. See what I'm saying? And it's myself. You see what I'm saying? Great moral to the story. One last piece. The last piece goes to this. They say, since you made it through, now the judgment comes. Everybody watching. They're saying, first of all, we got to do one thing. You got a choice. Number one, in order, because see, the whole reason why I even went on the whole doggone escapade in the first place in the journey was the sun went black and I had to go after the sun to get the sun back to the earth. And everybody was looking at me to see can I get the sun back, including white people. They said the only way the sun can come back, you got to choose. There's got to be a race that's eliminated off the earth. And you got to choose which one it is. Well, of course, you know which one I'm going to choose, goddammit. You know that. They say, well, you can do this. You can go back and wait for us to come, or you can and make the choice. Because our choice is the same as you. You know who we're going to pick. But with you, you can make a choice, or you can't make a choice. You can save them for the time being. Or you can go back and risk being killed because they're going to try to neutralize you because they say you might have the opportunity to choose again. There's a good chance you might not get killed, but it's a good chance you will, and knowing the beast, your ass is done for. You understand what I'm saying? So naturally, you know what I got to do. I got to choose killing the doggone beast. But the moral to that, another moral to this story, is he's watching this on TV, watching me make a decision on whether they're going to live or not. Can you understand the terror in that? You know what I'm saying? That's about the same damn thing as when they was watching we sitting there and watch this man sell our wife down the damn river. See what I'm saying? The whole key to the story is, I had the story in the vision I just told you. It's going to make a good tape on that thing. Oh yeah. I had a key to the story.